When inspiration wanes, it's a reminder to pause, reflect, and reconnect with what truly drives you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Leaders Realm podcast, where we dive deep into the principles and practices that drive the activation of a beast mode mindset. I'm your host, Tony Cammarata, serial entrepreneur, certified Maxwell team member, business coach, personal mindset coach, sales trainer, and speaker. Today we're going to tackle a challenge that I think we all face at some point in our journey. It's the lack of inspiration and motivation. Yeah, this includes me as well. In fact, this week's kind of been a challenging week for me, just drawing from, past episodes and trying to create content for this week. I was literally all over the place, couldn't get focused, couldn't get inspired enough to write. And then I realized your next episode is right in front of you. It's about the lack of inspiration. So inspiration is the fuel that drives us forward, whether we're pursuing personal or professional goals. But what happens when the fuel actually runs dry? We run and run and run and run and run, and then our tanks get empty. What do we do when we find ourselves just sitting there staring, as I did this week, just staring at a blank page, feeling stuck in a rut? Or, just not having the motivation to get up and move forward. So I want to explore why we sometimes lack the inspiration and motivation. What causes these creative blocks? But more importantly, how do we overcome them and conquer them? So we'll take a real close look into these practical strategies, action steps, and mindset shifts that can all help us reignite our passion and get us right back on track. So whether you're an entrepreneur, an artist, or just someone striving to improve their life, this episode is definitely for you. So sit back, grab your coffee, and join me. Well, before we can overcome a lack of inspiration, we have to first understand what it is, why it happens. Inspiration is a spark of creativity, motivation. It's enthusiasm that propels us to take action, think outside the box, and achieve our goals. So think about this. When we're inspired, everything seems possible, right? Ideas are constantly flowing. The creativity is there. We're fired up. And we just develop that unstoppable drive to turn all of those ideas into reality. There are times, though, as I find myself, and more times than I like to admit, when that spark fades, it leaves us feeling stuck, unmotivated, and completely uninspired. Now, this can manifest itself in a bunch of different ways. So maybe you're struggling to come up with new ideas, feeling overwhelmed by your current projects, or just don't feel like you have the energy or the motivation to pursue your passions. Why do we lack this inspiration? So in preparing for this, obviously I had to do a lot of research, right? Because I was trying to dig deep and figure out what was going on with me. Like I said, it was just a lack of creativity, lack of inspiration, just the motivation. It just kept, I'd start on a topic and do a little research. I was like, this is not going to do it for me this week. So I started doing some research on lack of inspiration. Here's what I came up with. So I found that there's several reasons why inspiration might be elusive. It's important to recognize that this experience is normal and it can happen to anyone. I didn't realize that until I actually started reading up on this stuff. So what are some of the common causes? One of the most common causes of lack of inspiration is burnout. Burnout comes, we push ourselves so hard for way too long, not getting any rest, mental or physical. Our reserves become completely depleted. It leaves us feeling exhausted, detached, and completely unable to find our joy or meaning in our work. The signs of burnout are real subtle at first. Maybe you start feeling more irritable, lose interest in activities, or just have trouble sleeping. But over time, these symptoms can intensify and they'll lead to complete and mental physical exhaustion. Another is feeling overwhelmed. When we're faced with so many tasks, responsibilities, or decisions that have to be made, it's easy to get overwhelmed. This overwhelm, it can paralyze us. Makes it difficult to focus, find motivation, and we find ourselves not being able to take that next step. Just the weight of everything that we need to do completely kills the creativity and inspiration that we have. Overwhelm can also manifest as procrastination. I know I'm really good at that. I'll just wait another 30 minutes. I'll wait another hour. You know what? Why don't I just push this off to tomorrow? I'll have some time tomorrow. We delay taking action because we're completely unsure where to start. And it creates a vicious cycle where the longer we procrastinate, the more overwhelmed we start to feel. Because now we've got deadlines approaching. We've got, different things that have to be done by a certain time. Next is the fear of failure. Fear of failure is a significant barrier to inspiration. When we're afraid of making mistakes or not meeting someone's expectations, we may hold back. We may hold back from taking risks. This fear, it can lead to more procrastination, self-doubt, and a complete lack of creative drive. The fear of failure is often rooted in perfectionism. We set such incredibly unrealistic standards for ourselves, guys, and we've got to stop. Another is routine and monotony. When our daily routines become so predictable, that can stifle creativity as well. Doing the same thing over and over every single day just leads to complete mental stagnation, making it challenging to think outside the box or find new sources of inspiration. It creates a sense of boredom, complacency, and ultimately, this can lead to a total lack of motivation and a sense of complete disconnect from our work. Next is external pressures, whether it's from work, family, society. They also dampen our inspiration. When we feel that our worth is tied to our productivity, or we must constantly meet others' expectations, the pressure becomes overwhelming. It leads to a loss of joy. It leads to a loss of complete excitement for any of the creative pursuits that we've had. It leads to lack of motivation. External pressures, they can also create a sense of performance anxiety, where we feel the need to constantly prove ourselves or to meet certain standards. This can make it difficult, really difficult, to take risks or explore new ideas. Why? Because they're outside of our comfort zone, right? And it all ties back into that fear of failure. And we just put all that pressure on us because we're trying to be perfect at everything we do. Another is our internal dialogue. It plays a huge role in how we're inspired. The inner voices, the lies that we tell ourselves, we're not good enough, not talented enough, not capable enough, totally destroy our confidence. When we're constantly criticizing ourselves, it's hard to find the motivation to do anything. Negative self-talk also creates a sense of self-doubt, creates that spiral going downward into that dark place. And we start to question our abilities and second guess every single decision that we make. Next one, guys, lack of clear goals. I talk about the why. Inspiration often thrives when we have clear, meaningful goals to work towards. Without a sense of direction or purpose, it's easy to feel lost or aimless. When our goals are vague or undefined, it can be difficult to find motivation to take action. Now, all this does is create a feeling of being stuck and unable to move forward. Once again, all of these tie together. And the end result, always the same. So it's important, guys. Once we've identified the source of the creative block, the next step is to learn how to manage it. While overcoming a lack of inspiration can take time, there's also several strategies you can use to help manage your feelings and create a more conducive environment for creativity. Get that mind opened up. If burnout or exhaustion are the root, it's essential to give yourself permission to rest. Take a break. Short nap, weekend getaway, take a longer sabbatical if you have to. All of those can help recharge the batteries, regain your energy. And remember, guys, rest is not a sign of weakness. It's a necessary part of the creative process. Rest can also help us gain perspective and clarity, allowing us to return to our work with a completely renewed focus and enthusiasm. Another way of managing is simplify your environment. It can have such a powerful impact on our mental clarity. Decluttering your workspace, another big one for me. Take an hour each week and just clear everything out. A clean, organized environment helps us feel more focused, more motivated. It makes it so much easier to just tap into our creativity. Next is, if overwhelm is contributing to the lack of inspiration, try to break down the goals into smaller, or what I call micro goals. Instead of focusing on the big picture, concentrate on completing one small step at a time. Tiny stepping stones. By doing this, we build momentum, we completely regain a total sense of control over the work that we're doing. Breaking down your goals, guys, is so important. It makes the big picture so much less daunting. It allows you to take action without that overwhelming feeling. I can handle this one small step. And let me just tie it to another. And each one we take, we're getting closer and closer to the big goal. If failure or negative self-talk is holding you back, do what you can to reframe your perspective. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, think about the opportunities for growth and learning that come with taking risks. What have we learned in the past? Failure is an opportunity to learn. Remind yourself that it's natural. Reframing our perspective can help us to overcome the self-doubt and embrace the challenges with a more positive and resilient mindset. Now, this next one is so important, guys. So when external pressures can be the challenge, the way we manage that is to set boundaries. Protects us mentally and emotionally. Learn how to say no to commitments that don't align with your priorities. Make time for the activities that nourish your mind, nourish your body, and your soul. Prioritizing self-care can help you long-term by maintaining and staying focused. And in turn, that will keep you inspired. Setting boundaries can also create more space for creativity. Allows you to pursue your passions without feeling overwhelmed by any of the external demands. Number 6, guys, surround yourself with positive influences. I can't stress this enough. I talk about it just about every week. The people we surround ourselves with will have a significant impact on our level of inspiration. Seek out positive, supportive, creative people to hang out with. And avoid those who drain your energy or reinforce the negative beliefs and the lies that you tell yourself. Mindfulness, meditation, great practice. Makes you fully present in the moment, without judgment and without distraction. When we practice mindfulness, when we meditate, we become more aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our surroundings. This allows us to tap into our inner creativity. It cultivates mindfulness that helps us reduce stress and increase our focus. It also helps us stay grounded, and it makes it easier to overcome any of the creative blocks and keeps us inspired. So now that we've covered how to manage the lack of inspiration, what are some action steps that we can take, some strategies that we can use that we can put into play today to help us overcome and conquer these creative blocks? Well, one of the most effective ways to overcome a lack of inspiration is to cultivate a daily creative practice. It involves dedicating time each day to engage in something creative. And I thought this was really interesting when I read about this, and I pulled this up for my research. Whether it's writing, drawing, playing music, or brainstorming ideas. The key is to make creativity a habit rather than sitting back and waiting for the inspiration to hit you in the head. Over time, this in itself, the practice of it will help us build our confidence, helps us develop skills, and generates a complete steady flow of new ideas. Trying something new can reignite our creative spark, opens up new possibilities, experimenting with different mediums, techniques, approaches. So for example, if you're an entrepreneur, explore new business models or even new marketing strategies. The act of experimenting can help us break free from the routine. And it'll help us discover new sources of inspiration, sources that we never even thought, they weren't even on our radar. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Inspiration a lot of times will come from exposure to new ideas, perspectives, experiences. Make it a point to seek out new sources of inspiration constantly. Read more books. Read articles outside of your usual genre. Attend events, workshops, watch documentaries even. Do anything you can to engage in meaningful conversations with others. Little mini brainstorming sessions. Collaboration is a powerful way to overcome creative blocks. Working with others allows us to bounce ideas off of each other, gain new insights, push the creativity to limits beyond our scope of imagination. And don't be afraid, guys. Don't be afraid to share the ideas and seek feedback. There's such value in that. Overcome the fear of failure is essential for reigniting inspiration. Embrace the idea that failure is a natural part of the creative process and that taking risks are necessary for growth. Allow yourself to experiment, make mistakes, and learn from them. By letting go of perfectionism, you open a space wide open for creativity to flourish. Back to the goals, guys. Setting small, achievable micro goals helps build confidence and momentum. Start with tasks that are manageable, gradually work your way up to more challenging projects, celebrate your progress along the way, use each small victory as fuel for the next. This also helps us break down larger projects into manageable steps. It makes it easier to overcome and achieve. You've heard me talk about this in the past also. Taking care of ourselves physically and mentally. Your physical and mental well-being plays a significant role in your ability to stay inspired. Prioritize self-care by getting enough sleep, eating right, staying active, managing stress. Take care of your body and your mind, guys. Ensure that you have the energy and the clarity needed to stay creative and to stay motivated and focused. Regularly take time to sit back, reflect on your progress, and celebrate. Don't be afraid to celebrate your achievements. They're your achievements, guys. Celebrate them. Enjoy it. Embrace them. Reflect on how far you've come. That can do so much to boost your confidence. It's also an opportunity to evaluate what's working, what adjustments we might need to make along the way. Really, truly reflecting on our progress also helps us stay motivated and stay focused. Finally, stay open to change, guys. Stay open to adaptations. Stay flexible. Creativity is a dynamic process, and sometimes inspiration, it requires a pivot. It requires us to try new approaches, explore a different path even. Be willing to adapt your plans and goals as needed, and trust that the journey will lead you to new opportunities and discoveries. As I wrap up this episode, guys, I hope you've gained valuable insights and practical strategies that you can apply to your own journeys. Remember, the lack of inspiration is common, but it doesn't have to be permanent. By identifying the source of your creative block, managing it effectively, and taking the steps necessary to reignite your passion, you can overcome any challenge and continue moving forward. Thanks again, guys, for joining me today here in the Leader's Realm. If you found this episode helpful, please be sure to subscribe, share it with others. I meet more people each day that say, man, I could use something like that. I can use something like that. Yeah, I feel the same way. Share it with those people. And until next week, guys, this is Tony Cammarata. And remember, stay fast, stay fluid, stay flexible. Be the absolute best you can be, because your best is yet to come.